Roots. You may have just enough time to briefly gaze upon this. Roots. First things first, you've got square roots, right? Square root of 36 is, technically it's plus or minus 6. You could have a positive 6 or negative 6. Cube root of 8 is, what times what gives you 8? Yes. 2. Here's where you have to think a little bit here. What would be the square root of a negative 36?
Undefined.
Positive 6, negative 6.
No, because that's not the same number.
6,
It's irrational. It doesn't make sense. You can't really do it per se. In the upper levels of math, you can because of some goofy things that they do. So the deal is this. Based on this here, this is what your thought should be on this. You can never take an even, whatever that thing is, index number for a negative radican. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, kind of, but I would never know.
It's the word for math. In other words, this. There's no possible way to have an even number here as your index number and a negative number underneath the radical sign. You'll never be able to do this. The 8th root of negative 52. That's an irrational number because you can't, there's no, when this is an even number, it means you have an even number of numbers multiplied together. There's no way to get a negative number when you multiply the same even number times itself. You know what I'm saying? This means, in order for this to be a negative, that means all of the numbers you're multiplying together have to be negative. Because the roots are finding the same exact number times itself, whatever this is amount of times. There's no way to get a negative number when you multiply an even number of negatives together. Now, with that being said, you can have this. You can have a cube root of a negative number. That is possible because 3 negatives times themselves gives you a negative. You know, the answer to this is a negative 2. You can do that. But you can't make this a 4 and do it because there's no way you can do 4 negatives times themselves to give you a negative. So anytime you see this, you have to go, I can't do that. It is irrational. That's not most of it. That's really not today's lesson, by the way. Today's lesson is this. What about, oh look, we're still at the green thing. What about, well, I don't even know why this comes up here. What about fractional exponents? I guess I should put this under exponents. I'm going to write all in block letters. How long will that take me?
A while.
More than an hour.
That's supposed to be an X. Oh, I'm starting to see it now.
That looks like fun.
Exponents. What if you have what if you have 4 to the 1/2 power? Any thoughts on what the answer to that is?
2.
Huh?
2.
2? Believe it or not, it is 2.
You knew it!
Oh, yeah.
But why?
Because
4 to the 1
half
power
is
is
2
4,
is
so
2.
half.
Half of 2.
Let me give you another one.
Minus 4 is
4s and
7.
2s give you goofy things because they work out a lot of times. How about this one? How about 64 to the 1/2 power?
32.
32.
Is it 32?
Oh wait, no.
16.
8.
Is it 16? Oh.
And here's the deal with this. You make fractional exponents, non-fractional exponents by doing this. You're going to rearrange the thing here. the 4, this 4, ends up going under a radical sign. The bottom of the fraction ends up being the index number, and the top of the fraction ends up being the exponent of that number that's under the radical sign. So 4 to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root of 4, which so happened to be, because you guessed right, 2.
I had some thought into it, just not.
Whereas this one, again, same thing, it becomes, the 64 becomes under the radical sign, the 2 is the index number, the 1 goes with that, so this is the square root of 64, which happens to be 8. Now, here's where it gets a little goofy. What if it was something to the 2/3 power? And I gotta try to, I don't know, I have to try to think of one that actually works out. Is there one here they give us? I don't think they do.
Probably not.
Which one would work out? Let's do 2. No, let's do 8, because 8 may work out. 8 to the 2/3 power is, you put the radical sign, the 8 here, the bottom number is your index number, the top number goes with the 8 and squares it, so it's actually the same thing as the cube root of 64. That's 8 times 8 is 64. And what same number times itself 3 times gives you 64? It does work out. 4, right? 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. So if you have that in your notes, you may, I think they only give you ones, like things to the, oh, here's one. -8 to the 1/3 power is the same thing. This goes under the radical sign. This 3 is the index number, and the 1 goes there. It's the cube root of -8, which happens to be, you can have cube roots of negatives, -2. So if you just have your notes on there, because it's not something that's easily remembered, but it will give you maybe a point or two on your math test if it comes up. Not that that's what I know.
266.
How about this one? This one actually comes out of the book. -625 to the 1/4 power. Changes to -625 under the radical sign to the 4th index number. You could put the 1 there, but you don't have to. It's not going to change it. Somebody, you should know already. Please don't spend a lot of time on this because Madison, it's irrational. You cannot have the 4th root of a negative number. It's an even root. You can't have it as that. It's irrational. Actually, the book says no real solution. Irrational. That's our most rational. No real solution.
Wait, what if you have an irrational?
About 81 to the 1/4 power.
Alright, so we had an irrational number, so it'd be like a double negative.
Double ear.
So that would mean it'd be
Too much coffee. 81 to the 1/4 power is? No, it's not a negative number. If
Oh, I thought
it was negative 81, yes, it's the 4th root of 81. 81, the 4th root is?
2.
Oh, it's a
three.
Three.
Is it three?
3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. The answer is 3. Technically plus
I got a
1.
few on a lot of things, and I've gotten a few ones right.
A few.
A few.
That's,
Oh,
you got
yes,
me
a lot.
silent.
You missed a few.
You missed